Every single year, gardeners across the world walk out of a garden center carrying little plastic trays full of what looks like pure promise. Tiny green seedlings, perfectly labeled, perfectly priced. And every single year, many of those gardeners end up frustrated when those plants sit in the ground and do absolutely nothing. No blooms, no growth, just a lingering disappointment that makes you wonder if you have a black thumb. The truth is, not your fault. The plants were never set up to succeed in the first place. Welcome to Golden Age Gardening. My name is William Scott, and on this channel, we cut through garden center marketing and get to the real methods that actually work. If you want a garden that delivers strong, reliable results season after season, make sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell so you never miss a new episode. There are certain beloved perennials, plants that millions of people grow and adore, that simply do not perform well when you buy them as seedlings from a nursery. These plants have specific root systems, dormancy cycles, and biological needs that make them far better suited to being started a completely different way. Buying them as seedlings is not just a minor inconvenience, it can mean years of weak, underwhelming results before you ever see a single flower. We consulted with professional botanical experts, including garden and greenhouse specialist Lucy Bradley from Easy Garden Irrigation and resident botany expert from Plantum to bring you the full picture on which plants these are, why they struggle, and what to grow them from instead. Drop a comment below right now and tell us, which of these plants have you tried growing from seedlings? We would love to know your experience. And if you find this video useful, sharing it with a fellow gardener could save them years of frustration. Before we go through each plant, it helps to understand what is actually happening when a seedling struggles. A nursery seedling is a young plant that has been germinated under controlled greenhouse conditions, warm temperatures, consistent watering, ideal nutrients. When that seedling is uprooted from its tray and placed into your garden soil, it faces an immediate shock. The roots have to re-establish, the plant has to adapt to new conditions, and in certain perennials, the root system is so sensitive or the plant's growth cycle is so specific that this disruption can cost you an entire season or, in some cases, several years. The better alternatives, growing from seed directly in the soil, planting bulbs, or using bare root divisions, allow the plant to build its root system from scratch in your actual garden environment. The result is a stronger, more resilient plant that blooms reliably and comes back better each year.
Perennial plant number 1, peonies. Let's begin with one of the most dramatic and heartbreaking examples, the peony. There are few flowers as grand and romantic as a fully bloomed peony, those enormous, fragrant blossoms that almost look too beautiful to be real. It's no surprise that gardeners rush to grab peony seedlings whenever they see them at a nursery. But here's the reality of what you're signing up for when you plant a peony seedling. You could be waiting anywhere from 3 to 10 full years before that plant ever produces a single bloom. 10 years! And even after all that waiting, the flowers you eventually see will not necessarily look like the flowers on the label or the parent plant, because open pollination means the genetics are unpredictable. Lucy Bradley from Easy Garden Irrigation is clear about the challenge. Peony seedlings require constant, careful maintenance to survive long enough to reach their blooming stage. You're committing years of attention to a plant that may still disappoint you. The smarter approach, plant bare root peony tubers in early fall. These are mature, stored root structures that already contain the energy and genetics needed to bloom. When planted correctly in autumn, they are designed to settle through winter and reward you with their first blooms the following late spring or summer. Alternatively, purchasing peonies as potted container plants in spring, ones that are already 2 to 3 years old, can mean you see blooms within that very first season. Either option puts you years ahead of where a seedling would leave you.
Perennial plant number 2, ornamental alliums. Ornamental alliums are one of the most striking additions any garden can have. Those perfectly round, globe-shaped flower heads in rich shades of purple rising up on tall, straight stems. They create a sculptural, almost architectural effect in a garden bed. They bloom from late spring into early summer and attract pollinators beautifully. But alliums, like peonies, are extremely slow to mature when grown from seedlings. Bradley explains that even if you managed to successfully establish an allium seedling, it would take multiple years before the plant grew large enough to produce flowers.
And when it does finally bloom, the flowers will almost certainly not match the original variety because cross-pollination between allium plants means the seedling carries a genetic mix from multiple parents. The key difference: a seedling is a young plant still in the early stages of development. A bulb, on the other hand, is a fully mature, stored plant structure that already contains everything the allium needs to grow quickly and produce true-to-variety blooms. The right method? Purchase ornamental allium bulbs and plant them in the fall. Because you're buying a named variety in bulb form, you know exactly what color, shape, and size of bloom to expect in the spring. As your allium clumps grow and multiply over time, you'll eventually divide them every 3 to 4 years to prevent overcrowding. And in doing so, you'll be able to expand your display without spending another dollar. If you're enjoying this breakdown, now is a great time to hit that like button. It helps Golden Age gardening reach more people who care about growing things the right way.
Perennial plant number 3, lupines. Lupines are a cottage garden essential. Those tall, densely packed spires of flowers, ranging from deep purples and blues to pinks, whites, and bicolors, add vertical drama and a wildflower quality to any planting. They're beloved by pollinators and have a long blooming season. But lupines are notoriously unforgiving when it comes to transplanting. The reason, according to Julia Omelchenko, comes down to their root system. Lupines develop a deep, singular taproot from a very early stage in their growth. This taproot is how they reach moisture and nutrients far below the soil surface. It's essentially their survival mechanism. But when a seedling grown in a container is removed and placed into a garden bed, even the smallest amount of root damage can stunt the plant significantly, prevent it from flowering, or kill it entirely. Growing lupines from seed directly. Lupines are one of those plants where the seed starting process is genuinely simple and highly rewarding. The main thing to know is that lupine seeds have a hard outer coat that resists water absorption. To improve your germination rate, take a piece of fine sandpaper and lightly scratch the surface of each seed. This is called scarification, and it creates tiny abrasions that let moisture enter the seed much more easily. After scarifying, soak the seeds in warm water for 24 hours before planting. Then, sow them directly into your garden bed in early spring in a location that receives at least 6 hours of full sun per day. Because the seedling grows in place from the beginning, the taproot develops naturally and without interruption, producing a strong, well-established plant.
Perennial plant number 4, Oriental poppies. Oriental poppies bring a kind of bold, theatrical beauty that few other perennials can match. Those huge, tissue paper thin petals in vivid shades of red, orange, pink, and white, often with a dramatic dark center, they look almost painted. They're technically short-lived perennials, but in the right conditions, they come back reliably and spread gradually. Like lupins, Oriental poppies form a deep taproot early in their development. Julia Omelchenko explains that any disruption to this root system during transplanting can lead to weak establishment, a failure to bloom, or the complete loss of the plant. Container-grown seedlings almost always experience some level of root damage when moved into a garden bed, and poppies simply do not recover from this the way other plants might. The direct sow method works beautifully for poppies. Sow the seeds directly onto prepared soil in early spring. In regions with cold winters, fall sowing is actually preferable because it allows the seeds to undergo natural cold stratification over winter, the chill period that poppy seeds need to germinate well in spring. One critical point about poppy germination: these seeds need light to sprout. Do not cover them with soil. Instead, simply press them gently onto the surface of your prepared bed and let nature handle the rest. When they sprout and grow in place, their taproot develops freely, producing plants with a genuinely robust root system that leads to more consistent, abundant blooms year after year.
Perennial plant number 5, Foxtail lily, Aramuris. The foxtail lily, botanically known as Aramuris, is a perennial that commands genuine awe. These plants can reach up to 8 feet in height, sending up tall, torch-like spikes absolutely covered in densely packed individual flowers. They come in a beautiful range of colors, from pure white and pale cream through warm yellows and peachy oranges to soft, delicate pinks. They bloom in late spring to early summer and are truly a garden stop-shower.
The challenge with foxtail lilies comes directly from their root structure. These plants grow from brittle, fleshy roots that radiate outward from a central crown, almost like the spokes of a wheel. This root system is extremely sensitive to disturbance. When foxtail lilies are sold as small potted seedlings, the confined space of the container means roots are already cramped and tangled. Transplanting almost inevitably breaks multiple roots, and even a few broken roots can delay growth significantly or end the plant's life entirely. Bare root crowns are the right answer. Large, dormant, bare root Aramuris crowns planted in late fall are the standard method for introducing these plants successfully. When you plant the crown, handle it carefully and spread the roots outward naturally. Do not force them or curl them to fit a hole. The crown itself should sit just an inch or two below the surface. Planted this way, the roots have the full freedom of your garden soil to grow as they need to. Share this video with a gardening friend who loves perennials. You might save them from a very expensive mistake at the garden center.
Perennial plant number 6, Anise hyssop. Anise hyssop is one of the most underrated perennial herbs a gardener can grow. This plant produces upright spires of small blue-purple flowers that are absolutely irresistible to bees, butterflies, and hummingbirds. The foliage carries a light, pleasant anise fragrance. It's a hardy, long-lived plant that comes back reliably each year and spreads gently without becoming invasive. Anise hyssop lands on this list for a different reason than the others. The issue here is not root sensitivity or years of delayed blooming. The issue is simply that buying established seedlings makes no economic or practical sense whatsoever when this plant is so effortlessly easy to grow from seed. Anise hyssop seeds carry a germination rate of over 90%. That is exceptional in the plant world. They can be sown directly into the garden in early spring, and unlike many finicky perennials, they actually prefer nutrient-poor, well-draining soils, including sandy soils. You do not need to amend or prepare the bed extensively. One preparation step makes a meaningful difference: cold stratification. Place your anise hyssop seeds on a damp paper towel, fold it over to cover them, and seal the whole thing in a plastic bag. Put this bag in your refrigerator for approximately 1 month before you plan to sow. This cold period mimics winter conditions and breaks the seed's natural dormancy, dramatically improving germination speed and consistency. After stratification, sow the seeds directly into the ground and expect to see germination within 7 to 14 days. The seedlings are low maintenance and will establish comfortably within the season. Starting this plant from seed instead of buying seedlings is genuinely the smarter, more economical, and more satisfying choice.
Perennial plant number 7, Meadow perennials, Rudbeckia, Columbine, and more. The final category covers a whole world of beloved garden perennials, the wildflower meadow species. Plants like Rudbeckia, also known as Black-Eyed Susan, and Columbine, known botanically as Aqualegia, are classic choices for naturalistic, cottage-style, and pollinator-friendly gardens. They offer great variety in color, height, and bloom time, and they self-seed gently to fill in a space beautifully over time. Julia Amelchenko explains that meadow perennials like these are biologically programmed for a very specific natural cycle. In the wild, they drop their seeds onto the soil in late summer or fall. Those seeds overwinter in the cold ground, experiencing weeks or months of low temperatures. Then, when spring warmth arrives and conditions are right, they germinate and grow. This cold period, known as cold stratification, is not optional for many of these species. It's a biological requirement. When nurseries grow these plants as seedlings under controlled greenhouse conditions, the natural cold dormancy cycle is bypassed. The result is a seedling that may look healthy, but has not gone through the process that builds the root resilience and environmental adaptability that a naturally stratified seed produces. When transplanted into a garden bed, these greenhouse-raised seedlings often struggle to develop the same strength and vigor as plants grown from seed directly in the soil. Direct sowing gives you better plants. Prepare a loose, weed-free bed and scatter your seeds across the surface either in spring or, for the best results with cold-requiring species, in fall. Fall sowing allows the seeds to go through a natural winter stratification period right in your own garden. By the time spring comes, those seeds are perfectly primed to germinate on their own timeline in your actual soil, in your actual climate. Plants grown this way develop root systems that are adapted to your specific garden from day one. They are hardier, more weather-resistant, and more likely to naturalize, meaning they return and even spread year after year with minimal effort on your part. That is exactly the kind of low-maintenance beauty that a well-planted perennial garden should give you.
To make this information as practical as possible, here's a clear summary of the better alternatives for each plant discussed. Keep this as a reference the next time you head to a garden center. Peonies, bare root tubers planted in early fall, or 2 to 3 year old potted plants purchased in spring. Ornamental alliums, named variety bulbs planted in fall for spring blooms. Lupines, scarified and soaked seeds direct sown in early spring into a full sun location. Oriental poppies, seeds pressed onto the soil surface, not buried, in early spring or fall. Foxtail lily, large, dormant, bare root crowns planted in late fall with roots spread naturally. Anise hyssop, stratified seeds, 1 month in the refrigerator, direct sown in early spring. Meadow perennials, rudbeckia, columbine, and similar, seeds scattered directly in either spring or fall into a weed-free, loosened bed. It's worth taking a moment to understand why these plants behave the way they do, because once you understand the biology, the advice makes complete sense and you'll never make the seedling mistake again. Plants that develop taproots, like lupines and poppies, do so as a survival strategy. A deep, single root can reach water and minerals far below the surface, making these plants naturally drought-tolerant and able to thrive in leaner soils. But that same design makes them terrible candidates for transplanting, because the entire survival mechanism lives in one root that cannot be broken. Plants that reproduce through bulbs, corms, and tubers like alliums and peonies have evolved to store an entire year's worth of energy in an underground structure. The plant we see above ground is essentially a display powered by a battery buried below. When you buy a bulb or a bare root tuber, you are buying that battery, already charged and ready to power growth immediately. A seedling, by contrast, has no such reserve. It's running on empty. And meadow perennials that require cold stratification have evolved in climates where winter is part of the life cycle. The cold period is not just something these plants tolerate, it's something they biologically require to complete their dormancy and prepare for spring growth. Skipping that cold period by starting them in a greenhouse produces a plant that is, in a very real sense, incomplete. Understanding this changes how you shop. The next time you're at a garden center and you see these plants in seedling form, you'll know exactly why to walk past them and what to look for instead. Gardening is one of those beautiful activities where the more you learn, the more rewarding it becomes. Every piece of knowledge you pick up, like knowing not to buy peony seedlings or understanding that poppy seeds need light to germinate, translates directly into a more beautiful, more productive garden. The 7 plants covered in this video, peonies, ornamental alliums, lupines, oriental poppies, foxtail lilies, anise hyssop, and meadow perennials, are all worth growing. They are genuinely stunning, long-lasting plants that will bring real character and beauty to any garden. You just need to start them the right way. Bulbs, bare root crowns, and direct sown seeds give these plants what they need from the very beginning: the right conditions, the right freedom, and the right start. That's the foundation of a perennial garden that genuinely delivers year after year. If this video helped you understand your garden better, please give it a like. It genuinely helps Golden Age gardening grow and reach more people who want to garden well. If you have not subscribed yet, this is the perfect moment to do it. New videos go up regularly covering the real methods, real science, and real knowledge behind growing beautiful things. And drop a comment below with your garden wins or your garden disasters. Which of these plants have you tried? What happened? The community here at Golden Age Gardening learns from every story, and there is no experience too small or embarrassing to share.